because we published, beloved. Hello, Dr. Blackstock. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dr. Jackson. How are you?
You might be able to tell that I'm kind of excited. Actually, really excited to have you here and to be speaking with you about your incredible book that has been on an incredible journey. And I just want to hear from you about legacy and this incredible memoir that you've been sharing with us for the past year. We actually had the same debut
Yes,
date. So we're like,
yes.
I guess, I mean, how does it's so funny.
Pub Day Twins.
Yeah,
Pub
pub
Day Twins.
friends. People have been saying, "Oh, yeah, we're like pub cohorts," like there's a
Yes,
group of us who all released books last year. So I want to hear about your book release, about your experience, and just an overview of the journey, what it's been like for you.
yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I have to say that I never thought that I would be an author.
Mm.
And I say that because just of the trajectory that I was on for most of my life. I was educated and trained, being a physician, that's like my professional identity. And then, I would write, right? So I would write, but more sort of academic type around medical education. But to be an author of my own memoir, that was something I had not considered. And it really was because of my own personal and professional journey that got me to this point here today. And that it was always good times. It was challenging times, but writing this book was an opportunity to pay homage to my mother, the original Dr. Blackstock, who grew up about 10 minutes from where I am here in Brooklyn, New York, under very different circumstances, and my late mother, but who had inspired both my twin sister and me to become physicians. So there's that legacy of being a second generation Black woman in physician, which we know to this day is still something that's rare to say. That makes me angry, that's the case. But also, I wanted to also talk about why in 2024, 2025, we are seeing the profoundly disturbing health statistics that we see as they relate to Black communities, and to really say that this is not about there being anything inherently wrong with Black people and Black bodies, but something being very, very wrong about the systems in this country and how we are essentially mistreated and not handled with care. So I wanted to use personal storytelling to talk about these broader issues that sometimes seem very, very lofty for a broad audience, just to bring it down to hear for them.
I love that. um, I think that's one of the things I have admired about you and your twin. Which by the way, I'm just like, y'all are stunningly beautiful, and the fact that there are two of you, I'm just like, gosh, and you're both so brilliant and carving out your own paths in so many incredible ways. It's just lovely to watch, and so I think having watched some of your journey before the book came out, we were already connected on social media
Right.
and already
Yes.
connected to you only as well, and so
Yes.
both of you I had already seen. And then when your book came out, I got to actually read about your family. And I was like, oh, this is how this is how you are, right? The warmth that you all exude on social media and the love that you have for Black people and for Black women, it comes from your mother. It comes
Yes.
from your family. And so I want to hear, because this is a memoir, but it's also, and this is something I think you do really well on social media as well. You're really good about bringing in, these larger structures of racism, these larger institutions of Western medicine, and our relationship to it as Black
Mhm.
folks and as Black women. And you also see the backside of it that we don't usually see because you are a physician, right? And so,
'Cause I'm in it.
right. And so I'm wondering for you, like, how long did it take you to get all of that in the book? But also, what was it like writing from so many different perspectives?
But you know what, Dr. Jackson? I feel like this is how we live our lives. Like, we
Yeah.
have these, multiple identities. We are in different spaces. We just kind of and then we learn how to adapt and to, do it seamlessly, and not to say it doesn't come at a cost to our bodies and our soul, but, I felt like this is an opportunity for me to talk from this positionality that I have as, a Black woman who has been a patient, but
Uh-huh.
also, a Black woman physician, who has been in the system, educated and trained in the system, Western biomedical model, right? Who has seen things, right? And
Yeah.
and also someone who's never really felt like I belonged. Like I never truly felt like I belonged in that system, just because medicine is so traditional, just conservative.
Yeah.
And I felt like that the process to becoming a physician, we go into it being bushy, sorry, with bushy tailed
Yeah.
and excited, and being these multidimensional people who, like, we were doing like community service, we were traveling, we were trying to save the world, and then started medical school, and because of the culture of it, you sort of you lose yourself. You lose
Yeah.
yourself. And I think often for especially Black folks, we are in misalignment with the environments that we're in. We're in environments where that really are not supportive of us, that really is as a professional, really not don't see us for the value that we are. And that does a job on you.
Yes. It does. It does. And I think, in reading the book, I get that from you, right? Also, as someone who does not understand New York City, this was a master class for me. I try my best, but also what comes through is your deep love for where you are from, which
I
I really
know.
appreciate. But what I love about, how you write about your story is you write about the struggle, but also your efforts toward joy, right? You write about being a little girl and how much you enjoy play and the lightheartedness of being with your sister and with your mother and all and those experiences.
Yeah.
And I think, what I enjoy about how you go about talking about this is that you remind us that we get to be whole people in this process, right? Like it's important that we remember that we are not machines, that this is doing harm to our bodies both inside and out, and we have to be aware of that, especially as Black women, you know?
Yes, and I struggled with that as a memoir, because people always say, "Okay, memoir by a Black person, is talking about the struggle and
Yeah.
this and that," So I was like, "Okay, this can't all be sad and depressing," but at the same time, I feel like writing this book, because I've been in these systems where I felt suffocated,
Mhm.
that writing this book was really my opportunity. I say talk about speaking truth to power, but really was my opportunity to unburden myself. Like
Yeah.
I was just, very direct and frank in how and what I wanted to get out there. Like, we're not trying to spare anyone's feelings. This is what I went through. This is how I feel. And actually, I would love that for all of us. Like, I would love for so many of us to be able to write about these experiences that we have, because one, the response that I got from people who read it, they were just like, "Thank you for telling my story. Thank you for validating me. Thank you for affirming me." But also just the beauty in us getting our stories out there.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So I wanna hear about the writing process,
Mhm.
right? I think that, that's something that's also, I think, very submerged for people. It's kind of a black box. People don't understand how you get to this, and I'm happy to hear that you're like, "I didn't know I was gonna write a book." So, how did you get from, "I didn't know I was gonna write a book," to this?
I
A
know.
New York Times bestseller.
Right. So I would say that I did it because I was walking in my purpose. That's a short answer. I was walking in my purpose. I say that because when I left my academic job at NYU in December of 2019, when I just felt like burnt out, bitter, leading a toxic environment, which literally looking back, that was a life saving decision. People think you're being dramatic, but no, it was a life-saving decision. And then I was working on building up my consulting firm, advancing health equity, and working part-time in urgent care. And then 3 months later, March 2020 hits. And I'm like, wait a minute. I left this job with all these benefits, this and that. And now I'm working part-time in urgent care, and on my business, and things are just going sideways. And what I did was I said, Uche, what in this moment, what matters to you? And I said, I'm noticing my patients are getting browner and browner. Like, we don't have any of the racial and ethnic demographic data yet on who's being disproportionately impacted by this virus, but we know who's going to be.
Uh-huh.
And so I started writing.
Mm.
I started writing op-eds. I was pitching to the, by the end of March, my first op-ed on racial health inequities in the pandemic had been published.
Wow.
Because I said, Uche, just stay the course. You write about everything that you care deeply about, right? You need to raise the alarm. And so I did that. So I just kept writing. I kept writing about Black folks and the vaccine rollout of Black folks and just healthcare access. I was asked to appear on air. So once you start writing things, they want you to come on air.
Yeah.
And then I got a contract with MSNBC News, which
Mm.
and I never even thought that would be the case. But for me, being on air was my form of advocacy, and but also ensuring that I was going to connect with our communities in a dire time and give them the information they need in accurate, responsible ways so they can make informed decisions for themselves. Like
Yeah.
that was my goal being on air. All that to say is my literary agent, she heard me one day on a local NPR show here in New York City. She was at her mom's house in Jersey. And she cold emailed me right after she heard me and
Wow.
said, hi, Dr. Blackstock. Yeah, I'm Nikki Madan from Sterling Lord Literacy Agency. I've been following you for a few months. That was like summer 2020. I've been following you for a few months. I feel like I love what you have to say. And I read about your background and I think you have a book in you. And
Mm.
she said, I think you have a story and you're the only one to tell that story.
Mm.
I know. I know. And so Um, I met with her and I just loved her off the bat. She's a South Asian woman, but she really one of her priorities is lifting up Black women's voices. So she's very interested in Black women authors. And she just said, I just want to help you tell your story. So we worked on the proposal for 6 months. I think my proposal was about 50 pages long. That
Wow.
was like that was like, definitely a lot of work. But I think for the memoir piece, the arc was very clear for me of the book, right?
Yeah.
Like it was very, very clear, child to medical student to practicing physician, that was very clear. And I think because I spent so much time on the proposal, when it was time to write the book, it literally was just like, okay, Uche, you just taking the time to flesh out, what you wrote here in the proposal, but also connecting the stories to the data, to the
Mhm.
history. And one of the challenges was trying to do that in a balanced way and recognizing, yeah, there's some chapters that are going to be a lot more personal. There's
Yeah.
some chapters that are going to be a little bit more data driven,
Yeah.
but it's okay. But the book as a whole will be balanced, and that's all
Yeah.
that matters.
Those med school years was tough, child. Don't
Yeah.
listen. I tell people all the time,
I,
grad school is a hazing ritual, and every time I
hello. Yes.
hear another story, I'm just like, "Oh, we all went through that." And so, I do really appreciate your honesty. So I hear that you got agented, and then you went through the process. What was it like then getting from the proposal to then deciding where you were gonna actually publish the book?
I know. Okay, so this was so crazy because I mean I feel like I learned so much about the publishing world. And I had seen the hashtag before, like a hashtag publishing so white, but but you know, it wasn't until so my agent and also what I didn't learn or know until then was that a literary agent, like they are the gatekeepers to
Yeah,
publishing.
yeah, yeah, big time, big time.
And that's why I kind of sometimes I wish I had. I mean, hopefully I'll give some helpful. I will give some helpful advice, but I just feel like I got so lucky that my agent happened to cold email me because I'm like, how else would people write a book? I mean, I know you can self-publish, but that is just makes it so much harder. So what she did was when I was done with the proposal, she sent it out to all her contacts at the publishing houses.
Yeah,
And 9 publishers came back and said, "Listen, I know." 9 publishers came back and said, "We wanna meet Dr. Blackstock," and then eventually, they wanna bid on the book, right?
wow.
So, but as I met with them, and at that time, I think that was 2021, and we were still doing a lot virtually, so I met with all of them virtually. Like, it felt like speed dating in a way because they had all read the proposal, but you could tell some came, it was just the, editor, some came, it was the executive publisher, some came, it was marketing, and it was comms, it was everyone. So Viking, which is my imprint at Penguin Random House, they came, like, there were like 6 or 7 people on the call, and you could tell that everyone had read that
Yeah.
proposal word for word. And they just were like, "Dr. Blackstock, we just want to help you tell your story. And
Yeah.
is such an important this topic is so important, and we just wanna support you." And I
Mm,
remember after that telling my agent, I said, "Okay, even if they don't bid the highest, I wanna go with them
mm,
because they really seem like the ones that are most invested in supporting me through this process." And I remember after I met with them, they sent me my editor sent me a 3-page letter. I actually
mm.
still have it. It's like a love letter. It felt like a love letter. It felt like a love letter about, like, "Dr. Blackstock, it'd be such an honor to help you tell your story,"
Oh,
and, like, da 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 da, you know? And so anyway, so it turns out when it went up for auction, they did bid the highest.
good. That's
So,
incredible.
so I just feel like, that was meant that it was just meant to something just happen,
I
you
love
know?
that. I love
I
that.
know.
I tell first-time authors and folks who are interested all the time, like, you really have to pay attention to how you feel,
Mm,
like, it's important that we listen to our bodies and that when people are excited about the work and when they're reading it. Listen, I love Penguin Random House. I know it's a big publisher and we're not supposed to be pro big publishers, but I
yeah,
will say
you have the experience, right?
yes, they hold us down. They hold us down over there, And I will say, like, I do think that there's a certain passion there for Black women's stories. It is not surprising to me that Toni Morrison spent so much of her career at
Mm,
Random House, you know?
yes,
And I think they're carrying
yes,
on that legacy. I really do. I really
yes,
do. I really do. I think what's really interesting and what I really love about your story, this is just me, projecting because I've just been watching from the internets. But I just love the way that you kind of are also on this journey of self-discovery. Like,
mm,
when you post, you're like, yeah, this is great. I had no idea this was gonna happen. I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I love that about you because it doesn't come from a place to me of like of ego of like, I'm entitled to this or like, like I just planned all this all along. It does stress me out sometimes when people like, yeah, I knew I was gonna. I'm like, how'd you know?
I know, how do you know yeah, no, listen, I mean, I think one thing that I've been trying to do is just, embrace abundance because I think for a long time I know this sounds horrible, I didn't think I deserved it.
I get
I
that.
know,
I
I
get
know.
that.
And you'd ask me why would I think that? I don't know why. I don't but, I mean, just absorbing all of that
Black woman,
negative
yeah.
energy yeah, Black women. So, I've had to, like I think even since, even before the book came out, I said, "Uche, you're just gonna have to get comfortable with promoting yourself." Like, and it's not like an ego thing. It's like I am proud of me
Yeah.
I'm proud of me, and also, I'm sharing with you, like, this is, like, love, like,
Yeah.
like, you can do it too, like, I remember I did a reel on just even and I probably could ask me about this, but even just the whole New York Times bestseller thing and, like, what I think kind of goes into that, and I will just say there's definitely luck,
Yeah.
right? But I also think, there were a few things that I did, like, I made sure my social media platform, my followers knew about this book, like, it was like they were just getting, "Look, this book," even, months before it came out, but then also I had a good relationship with, Kalima, the owner of Cafe Con Leaf. I know, and Cafe Con Libros is literally a few blocks from my childhood home.
Mhm.
Like, it just felt so organic, and so I was there, like, every week.
I love Kalim.
I was there every week. I was telling people this is I'm working with a Black woman-owned bookstore, like, like, that just it felt so good.
Mhm.
And that also I think helped tremendously.
I agree. I That's the next question, right? The book tour. I watched you and I said, "Oh, Uche lives in that bookstore." I said, "Uche, I saw you had a table out on the street." I said,
Yes,
this is brilliant." And
yes,
it's so Brooklyn. It's like I'm in my community. I am here. Like this is for y'all. I loved that whole vibe of like, I'm gonna just be out here. And if y'all here, I'm here. Like
yes,
that's just
yes.
lovely, you know?
Because it's also, the thing is that, like, we love us. So I know that sitting at that table, I don't care even if 10 people came by, it'd be 10 people that are just like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you," and
Yes.
love, just love.
Yes.
Um, that was just a wonderful connection to have, and we still have it even and whenever I have book events in New York City, and sometimes that even in New York City, I recommend, the hosts buy from Cafe Con Libros.
Same.
I've had books, from somewhere in the Midwest and being like, they're like, "Oh, wait, do you have any suggestions we should order from?" "Oh, yeah, Cafe Con Libros."
Same. Listen, I love Kalima. I am a fan. I am a personal fan. And I think I wanna hear from you about that too because yeah, we happened to connect with, you and I call and response in
Yes,
Chicago, and I
yes.
really did really like that you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." I was like, "Yes, come on, get out there." Like, so was that something you did on your book tour when you did go to different, cities and states? Did you make sure to stop by, like, the Black women-owned
Oh, yeah, I reached out to the Black woman-owned bookstore, like, actually, I even told Viking, I said or the Speakers Bureau too, I said, "Whenever I have a talk, I would prefer for you to find a Black-owned bookstore just to sell at the event." I mean,
Yes,
I told them this, like, from the very beginning,
yes.
but actually Call and Response, that was part of my paperback book launch, and I paid my way to
Come on
Chicago.
now.
Yes, because, you know yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
I paid my weight because I knew that there were folks in Chicago that I wanted to see. I had spent a year in Chicago after college. It meant so much to me, and I had told my team, I said, "I really would like to get to Chicago."
Mm,
They said they asked, Chicago Public Library, da, da, da. No one was interested, and so I reached out to Call and Response because I actually had met the husband of Courtney, the owner, at an event a few months prior, and so he put us in touch, and it worked out, and it was such a beautiful,
I love
beautiful
that.
event, and I was like, "You know what? Like, the fact that I had to pay for this to get here, it didn't matter."
And that's the other thing I think I want first time authors to be thinking about. Like some of this is just, brute force effort, right? It's elbow grease. There's a lot of phone calls, there's a lot of following up, there's a lot of emails, there's a lot of I talked to this person who sent me to that person and then who, and I tell folks all the time you have to be very patient with bookstores, right? Because
I know.
these smaller bookstores, they've got 1 or 2 people who can regularly check the emails, and they're not being unkind, they're not shunning you. They're strapped. They're also going through this political
Right,
moment, and
especially Black bookstores.
yes, they're
Yeah.
trying to keep the doors open, and so I really thought that was incredible watching you, also make the effort to go to some of the smaller and newer bookstores around the country because, we love, Cafe Con Libros, but it's in New York City, right?
Right,
And it's a
right.
very well-known, incredibly, connected and beautiful, wonderful store, but there are also, right, these smaller stores that are still trying to find their way, and I think it's
Right,
so important
yes,
for us to support them as well.
yes. I was so happy to be able to support Courtney in that way
Yeah.
at Call and Response, and it was a beautiful evening. Magical,
Yes.
magical,
Yes.
magical.
So what has surprised you? What has happened along the journey where you're like I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot of things, but what stood
Yeah.
out for you where you're like,
Uh,
"Whoa," you know?
I think okay, so I think, we love our publishers, but I
Yeah,
think that, to be honest, I didn't recognize how it really is after the first few weeks that the book comes out, like, you as the author are the one pushing out your book, like, you're the one marketing your book, and
that's right.
marketing, I didn't realize marketing is getting out the message of your book. And so that part was a little bit surprising to me because I think after about 6 weeks, I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm on my own.
Mhm.
Okay." And I'm like, "Okay, I can hustle. Let's do this. Like, let's do this." But I will say, like, this month, I said to my agent, and to myself, I said, "I'm done pushing this book out. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done. I'm done."
Good for you.
I'm exhausted. This is I need to rest.
Good for you. I mean, that was something I was talking to, someone else on the podcast. We were talking and a couple people actually were like, "Yeah, I didn't build in any rest. I didn't build in rest."
I
And,
know.
it's true. When I think back to the book coming out, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't consider that I might need, like, a month off."
Oh my gosh, you're so right. No, I know I didn't because also like the environment that I came from, in medicine, you go,
Just keep
go,
going.
go,
That's
go,
right.
go, go.
That's right.
And what's interesting is because of everything happening politically in the country right now, um, I'm not I'm not doing as many talks as I was doing last year. And I said, Uche, you know what? This is good. You take this time, you rest, you ground yourself. Like
Yes.
it is okay, and that abundance will come in the future in different forms.
Right.
But you need to take care of yourself.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's so true. I mean, working in medicine, but also just like academia generally, you're not
Right.
allowed to like, oh, this great big thing happened. Now I can sit back and celebrate it. No, it's like this great big thing happened. Okay, let's hop into the next thing because I gotta. And that was something I realized with the book tour and with the book launch. It's like I was doing that. I was doing that.
Right.
And I had to be
Right.
really intention to say, I need to sit my ass down. I need to sit down, you know?
Um, One thing I think I remember you mentioning, or I read something that you may have wrote about. I have I have an assistant who helped me a lot just with logistics, and I feel like that's something, even that a lot of first time authors may not be aware of. But
Huh?
even if we can think about lower cost options like finding someone on Upwork or Fiverr, like a virtual assistant, but you do need that administrative support to coordinate things and just it can't just be you.
That is so true. That is very true. I have learned the hard way not to go it alone, and I think
Yeah.
before the book came out, I had an assistant, and then I was like, "I need to just get, like, a speakers bureau." Like, there's some
Yes.
ways where people, I think, have to think about what does it look like to build a team, and that might not look like the
Mm,
traditional route. It may not be a personal assistant. It may be your friend who's really good at making graphics, and maybe you pay your friend their rate, right? But they making you some really bomb graphics, right? Like, what can you do so that you can
yes.
source some of that labor, you know?
Yes, the same. Like, it's so funny people would say, "Oh, your publisher's doing so great with your graphics." I'm like, "Oh, those graphics? No, no, no. That's me and my girl Larissa, who I've known for
Same.
several years. She's the one. Like, you got to do what you got to do."
Yes. And I will also say this is random. Maybe it's not random, but you have been dressed down. Your stylist dressed down. I will say, I saw how you was dressing. I said, I need to step my game up. I gotta step my game up. Let me go shopping. Let me go get some clothes because Uche out here stunting on these hoes.
Okay, listen. So no, so it was kind of just like a quick story of how I met my stylist because our kids go to the same school and then they ended up being at the barbershop at the same day. And so she told me this is maybe like 2021, 2022. She said to me, "Oh, this is what I do for I style women, innovators, leaders, entrepreneurs." And I was like, "Okay, that's great." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds really interesting." And literally maybe 8 months later, I was still doing a lot of on-air stuff, but from home. But I realized I literally was wearing the same three dresses.
Yes.
And so I reached out to her and said, "Hey, can I just talk to you?" But what I realized is what she does as a stylist is so much more than about the clothing.
Yeah.
It is about how the clothing how it makes you
Makes you
feel and how
feel.
you show up. And so I be showing up to these events like, okay, yes, like
Yes.
I am here. Like literally just showing up is enough. Like I got to that point where Uche, you just have to show up. It's okay.
Yes.
You don't have to prepare anything.
Yes.
Just talk off the top of your head.
That's right.
It's a that is
You're the
they are so
talent.
yes, they are so lucky to have
That's
you.
right. Come on now, right? And I think you're absolutely right. It's the way you feel. I was, again, Black women, academia, we can do a lot of the self-editing stuff.
Yes.
And when you were
Yes.
posting about how the clothes made you feel, it did I said, "You know what? I need to focus on not dressing for what I think I'm
I
supposed to
know.
do and what I think I'm
I
supposed to be.
know.
I need to feel good when I go out here. I need to dress in ways that makes me feel comfortable." So thank you for also sharing that because I think sometimes we have to give ourselves permission, right, to show up fully in our bodies,
Yes.
unfortunately, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And it's so funny because now when I go to, an academic institution to give a talk or every like, I literally I stand out so much because whatever I'm wearing is really bright or it's like it's a lie. I'm like, but it's I love it. It's
And you
okay.
feel
It's
good,
okay.
and that's what matters.
Yes.
I love it, and you
Yes.
always listen, dress to the nines. Your
Thank
stylist
you. Thank you.
is
Thank you.
doing
She told me
listen, Law
she's
Roach needs to
I
walk
told
out.
her, I said, "Listen," I said, "I wanna become so successful that I could just have you, 1, on retainer, and I could just pay everything that you need because you are
Yes,
just so amazing."
she's doing great. I will just as someone who's not fashionable, I don't know if my opinion counts, but you look fantastic,
Thank
I'll
you,
just
thank you,
say.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
I do also wanna know, so it really seemed I mean, I know, and I never wanna say this to folks, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You just looked so together, this whole process looked so it was just so buttoned up, and it just looked so good and so tight. But I know that that's just because Black women know how to do that, right? And so,
I know.
I know that you probably had some things that you wish you had known or you wish you had done differently, and I would love to hear from you what those things were.
I think for me, I think, probably scarcity mindset kinda set in a little bit sometimes, and that I didn't have to say yes to everything.
Mm.
Like, it's okay. Like, if I was like, "Oh, I gotta get this message out. I gotta make sure these books get sold." Also, part of me, honestly, part of me is like, "Oh, I have to justify this advance that I got."
Mm.
And I know. And I had talked with my agent about this recently, and she's like, "Uche, don't worry. It's
Yeah,
like you deserved all of that.
that's
Like, you
right.
don't have to, like, worry about selling enough books so you can get" what do they call it when you sell enough books?
Earn out your advantage.
Yes, earn out, to earn out your advance. She's like, "Don't," 'cause I was like, "Okay, I guess I gotta earn out my advance." And especially if I wanna think about writing a second book, I was like, "Oh, I guess I have to." And she's like, "It's okay. It's okay."
Ah.
I know, I know. Like, here I'm putting that pressure on myself.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's systemic, right? It's every time Black women are given what we deserve, right? What we've earned, we're also kind of like in the back of our mind thinking, "Wait, was this some am I an imposter, right? Do I
Right.
belong?"
I
You
know.
you speak to that also in the book, right? As
Yes.
you are incredible achievements, becoming a physician at an elite institution and still wondering like do I belong in these rooms, and I think that it's unfortunate, right, because then we go into publishing and it happens all over
I know,
again,
I
all
know,
over
I know.
again.
Yeah, so you should see my mirror. I have all of my affirmations and mantras on there. I go every morning, I look at them and I say them out loud
Yeah.
because I really also had to say, "Uche, you deserve
Mm.
all of the abundance and beauty coming your way." I had to tell myself that, everything that happens, all the good stuff, you deserve all of that.
You you do.
And even if you don't work yourself to exhaustion, you deserve that.
That's right, and you
Please,
shouldn't have
please work yourself to
right, you
exhaustion.
shouldn't have to work yourself to exhaustion to earn it, right? You just earn it because you already did the work,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And thank you for being honest about that. We're at the end, sadly.
Oh, this is fun.
I
I was
know,
so looking forward to this.
I
Thank you.
know.
Thank you so much for having me. I knew this would be fun.
But the last thing is just, like I told you before, this is a podcast that's really focusing on, first time Black women and queer authors who often don't see themselves reflected back, right? Often are struggling to get into publishing. And so, is there anything you want to leave them with? Any kind of last words you're like, this is what you need to know?
So one, I would say, all our stories are very important, and you you need to tell your story. Like 1. And 2, I think, reaching out so many people have reached out to me, other people who are thinking about writing a book. I've given them advice, like, find maybe authors who have written something similar to what you wanna write, ask them about their journey. I've even given them the name of my agent, or my editor. Like I really try to help connect them because so many of us don't have the connections, right? And so I feel like that's my responsibility because I want to help bring everybody up. Like I want all of us to be writing books
Yes. Yes. I love that.
and not just like the you know.
Elite folks in the gates.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I am grateful for you, and I love the title. I think it has so many meanings, right? I think this is your
Yes.
legacy, this is the legacy of your mother,
Yes.
this is you and your sister's legacy, right? But also this is pushing us to think about Black women and our
Yes.
legacy moving through
Yes.
these spaces that tell us that we don't belong in them.
I
So
know. And, yes.
thank you for telling us that we belong. Thank you for showing us that we
Thank
can
you.
belong in a space and thrive. Thank you for this book. And we published. You did it.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.